Hello. As you can see, if you know F-16s, this is what it is I've got today to show you. It's the Mastercraft Hobby Kits kit which I've built. I chose it because it's the Wisconsin National Guard livery on the tail, and I've got a relative from Wisconsin, so I couldn't help but buy it because it's a fun thing to have, I thought. Now, sad to say, this isn't the best F-16 kit on the market. There's one or two things which I'll go through which I've had to deal with. There weren't any decals for the top side of the wings. The usual US Air Force decals were present, but didn't have the lines, and didn't have the air refueling guide. So I used that from the options I had for the F-16 kit I got on another video. So it's always good to keep your decals. You never know when you might need them. The register of the decal, feature decal, isn't really lined up. I should be really white around black right in, but it's offset slightly, which is quite disappointing really, but it's also quite a complicated decal, so I can't put too much fault there for them because of that. It's nice that it exists at all, really. Other things, you've got the exhaust was only a solid tube. There wasn't any detail on it at all, although the instruction did suggest that there was going to be more detail than there was. So what happened there, I don't know. So what I did, I used a file to make grooves where the veins of the exhaust would be, and that meant that there was little divots around the edge. So what I did, I put a bit of tube of paper, and I inserted the tube of paper in there and painted it, and made my own little detail on the tail. Also, I'm not sure whether there was the static probes tubing or whatever it's called at the edge, trailing edge of the tail and the wings, but that's extra detail which often enough, if you don't know what it is, you may accidentally cut off anyway. I don't think I cut it off, but it wasn't an expensive kit by any means, but also it's quite thick. If you think of how thin an F-16's control surfaces are, the wings are quite thick, and the tail is quite thick, really, considering. But what else? Okay, I think I needed to fill a bit of the wing root area, but that's always good practice. You know, nothing wrong with. No kit is perfect. Underneath, the undercarriage is simpler than you get with Revel. There's a whole strut missing, really, on those sides. But you know, if all you want is a kit, then you're not too bothered by it. Worst thing I found, there's a bit of a gap between the undercarriage area, which is quite shallow, and the air intake, and there's no splitter between in the air intake. I don't know if you see that on the video. There's usually a thing sticking down there, but there's a gap between there and there, and also the holes weren't really present for the ordnance points, so I more or less guessed where to put it, educated guess where it could be. I'm sounding as I'm really ripping into this kit, but it shouldn't put you off buying it, because it's always good to have something to work on, and if anything, you can you get the decals with it, and they're not common. This cockpit itself was a one piece. It wasn't this colour, it came clear, so what I used to darken it, give it sort of a tint, is some Tamiya smoke. I put 2 coats of Tamiya smoke on that, and my first time I tried it, so I put it a bit darker than it needs to be, but the actual interior of the cockpit's quite detailed. But there we are, the F-16 of the Air National Guard of Wisconsin, and it's a nice enough kit, but you get what you get. So there we go.